What's up YouTube? Welcome to CodAffection. This is my second video in this series of building complete Angular material app with practical examples. Previous video we have designed this Angular material form using reactive forms approach containing almost all frequently used components. Here we have the same project from the previous part. In this video we are going to implement Firebase CRUD operations inside this project, and later we will submit this Angular material form in order to insert a new record into Firebase. In previous part we have implemented this dropdown using a static array. We will create a department collection in our DB, and using that DB we will list the items here inside this select component. So we will change this static dropdown into a dynamic one. Finally, I will show you how to build a notification message with Angular material with the help of Angular material component snack bar. In the next video, we will list all of the inserted employees from Firebase collection into Angular material table. We will discuss about sorting, paging, and filtering. Before starting this video, I would like to ask you a favor. If you found this video helpful, please thumbs up this video. If you are new here, please be subscribed to this channel and click on the bell icon to get notification about my new videos. Most of the video lesson here also has a written blog post. You can find the link in video description. You can grab code from there as well. So before starting with this Angular 6 project, I'm going to start with creating this Firebase project. For that you have to go to this website console.firebase.google.com. Then click on this add project button here. I want to name this application as Angular Material CRUD. In short, I will name it as AM CRUD. Then accept these terms here. Click on create project. So here we have successfully created the project. Click on continue. Here we are inside the Firebase project dashboard. Then go to database. Here we need to create a real-time database, so you can click on this create database button. Here we have two types of mode, logged mode and test mode. I will select the test mode because we can access the database without authentication. Now click on enable. Here you can see the warning, your security rules are defined as public. You can dismiss this notification. Now in order to work with this Firebase project, we have to install two npm packages inside this Angular 6 project here. For that, I'm going to open one more terminal here. We are already inside the project folder, so we can right away run our npm command. So corresponding npm command will be something like this: npm i4 install, then --save, or in short you can type --s. First of all, we have to install the package Firebase and Angular Fire 2. Hit enter. So here we have successfully installed those two packages. Now we need to initialize them with Firebase project connection details. So back to the Firebase project, then click on this project overview. You can click on this web option here, then copy this specific object from here, then back to the project. Then inside this environments folder, you can see this file environment.ts. Inside this constant environment, I'm going to add one more property here. It will be Firebase config. Inside that, I will store the connection details that we have copied from the Firebase console. Now open app-module.ts file. Then we need to add these two import statements for these two classes, Angular Fire module and Angular Fire database module from Angular Fire 2 module. Now we need to initialize this Angular Fire module using the connection details stored inside this environment.ts file. So I will add the import statement for this constant also. So here it is. Now we just need to add these two modules inside this imports array here. Angular Fire database module and Angular Fire module, and we need to call this function initialize app. Inside that we have to pass this constant Firebase config. So we just need to do this environment dot Firebase config. So far we have created Firebase project and we have configured this Angular 6 project with Firebase. Now let's implement Firebase CRUD operations. For that, open the service class here, employee service class. First of all, we have to import these two classes, Angular Fire database and Angular Fire list, from Angular Fire 2 database. Now we have to inject this Angular Fire database inside this service class here. Firebase, it's of the type Angular Fire database. Now we have to define a property of this type Angular Fire list so that we can retrieve inserted records from Firebase DB. So here it is. Employee list, it's of the type Angular Fire list. Now we can start defining functions for Angular Firebase CRUD operations. First of all, I will define a function in order to retrieve all inserted records into this employee list here. So here is the function get employees. In order to retrieve the inserted records, we can do this. Here we have the injected Angular Fire database object Firebase.list. Inside that we have the collection employees, which is a node in our Firebase DB which we have not yet created. Once we insert a record, we will have this node employees. Under this node we will save the new records. So inside this employee list we will have the collection, but it will be of the type Angular Fire list. In order to work with that, it would be better if we have an observable. So we can do this. We will call this snapshot changes function from the object so that it will return an observable from the Angular Fire list. Later we will discuss how we can make use of the observable returned from this function. So first of all, here we have the function for insert operation, insert employee. It has a single parameter employee. It contains details of new employee. In order to insert a new record, we can do this. We will call this push function from the Angular Fire list object, employee list. Inside that we just need to pass an object containing details of new employee. So here it is. Full name is equal to employee.fullname. So this employee object must contain details of new employee. Like this full name, we can pass remaining properties like this. We have email, mobile, city, gender, department, HireDate, and is permanent. So it will insert a new employee into Firebase DB collection under this node employees. When we insert a new record into Firebase DB collection, it will automatically create the primary key or $key. Now let's do the update operation. Here we have the function update employee. It contains a single parameter employee. In order to update an existing record, we can do this. We will call this update function from the Angular Fire list object. As a first parameter, we can pass the primary key or $key of the record. As a second parameter, we will pass an object containing updated details of the employee. Here we have the final CRUD operation delete. We have this function delete employee. It contains a single parameter $key. It's of the type string. In order to remove an existing record, we can do this. We will call this function remove from this Angular Fire list object, and we will pass the primary key $key here. So here we have defined one function for each CRUD operations. Now we have to submit this Angular material form so that we can insert a new employee into Firebase by calling this function here, insert employee. So let's look how we can do that. Here we have the employee HTML, and here we have the form element. Now we have to wire up submit event. So I will add this submit event here. When we submit this form, we will call this function onSubmit. Now we have to define this function inside the TypeScript file here. So here we have the function onSubmit. Inside that, first of all, we have the if statement to check whether the form is valid or not. We have added few validations in previous video, and with this if statement here, we will check whether the form is valid by checking this property valid from the form group property from our service class. Now in order to insert a new record after the submission, we can do this. We We will call this function here insert employee. So we will do this. This .service.insert employee function can be called. Inside this function, we have to pass the object employee containing details of the new employee. When we submit this form, in order to retrieve values from these controls, we can do this. We will have the value property from the form group object. So this will insert a new employee into Firebase DB collection. Now we have to reset this form controls to the initial state. So here we will call the reset function here form.reset. After that we have to initialize these controls to the initial default value. For that we can call this function initial form group like we have done inside this onClear event. So inside this onSubmit event we have called this function insert employee from the service class. Inside that, in order to insert a new record, we have called this push function from employee list. In order to work this function here, we have to first initialize this property employee list that we have done inside this get employees function. So before any of these CRUD operations insert, update and delete, we have to initialize this property employee list. So we have to call this get employees function before any of these following functions. So that we can do inside the ng on a lifecycle hook here. This dot service dot get employees. Now let me save all of these modifications here. Now let's fill this form for a new employee record. Now let's submit this form. Form is reset to the initial state. Now let's check the Firebase DB whether we have inserted the new record or not. Here we are inside the project overview. Go to database. Here we have the newly created node employees. Under that we have the new employee record. Here we have the primary key or $key. Here we have the city. For department we have the value 2. For department we have selected second item, corresponding value is 2. Now we have the email, full name, gender is stored as 2. We have selected female, corresponding value is 2. We have is permanent as true. Finally we have the mobile number. Now inside this video we have to discuss two more points. First of all, here we have the static dropdown. We have to convert that into a dynamic dropdown. Second point, we have to show a notification after submitting this form using snack bar component from Angular material. So first of all, we will convert this static dropdown into a dynamic one. For that, I will add a new collection departments. Inside that, I will add entries manually. You can design another form for department CRUD operations. Considering the time we have, I will enter or create the collection manually. So let's create the new collection departments. Inside that we will insert new 4 departments. First of all, we have the key value. I will set it as ABC1. We have to make sure that it won't repeat in remaining elements. Inside that we have 2 properties, name and code. Department name and department code. First of all, we have name. Corresponding value will be accountant. Then we need one more property, department code. Code, I will set it as ACC. Now click on add. So here we have created the new collection departments. Inside that we have a single item with key ABC. It is for accountant. Corresponding code will be ACC. Like this, we have to add 3 more departments. For that, you can click on this add button here. So finally, we have inserted 4 departments under departments node here. Accountant, software engineer, developer and team leader. Now using this Firebase DB collection departments, we have to update this static drop down here. For that, I will create a separate department service class inside this shared folder here. So let me open one more terminal here. Here we are inside the project folder. In order to create the service class, we can do this ng g4 generate s4 service. We have to create the new service class inside this shared folder. Class name will be department service. So we just need to pass department here. Hit enter. Newly created service class department.service.ts can be seen here. Along with that, we have the test file. I will remove that. Now inside this service class, we have to retrieve these departments under this node here. For that, we have to import classes from Angular Fire2 like we have done inside this employee service class. So let me copy this import statement from here and pasting inside this department service class. We have to inject this Angular Fire database. So let me copy this and pasting inside this department service constructor. Here I will define two properties. First of all, we have department list and array. Inside this department list, we will retrieve all of these collections here and we will convert that into an array and we will save that array inside this array property here. So all of these conversions can be done inside this constructor here. First of all, we will populate this list from this Firebase collection departments. For that, we can do this. This dot department list is equal to Firebase.list. Inside that, we have the node departments. Now we have to convert this Angular file list into an array here. For that, we have to iterate through the list here. So better we have to convert this into an observable. For that, we can do this. We will call this snapshot changes function. It will convert this Angular file list into an observable. So we can subscribe to that observable here. Inside that, we have this arrow function with this single parameter list and we will do this. Here we have the array and we will generate the array from this list here. We will call this map function. Inside that, we have another function with this single parameter item and we just need to do this. We will return an object from the function containing properties from this collection here. So this will return an object containing these two properties, code and name. And here we have applied 3.destructuring syntax from JavaScript. So that properties inside this object here, name and code, can be a part of the new object here. Along with properties name and code, we need this $key or primary key of the item. For that, we can do this. Item.key will give the corresponding item $key value. So this is how we can retrieve collection from Firebase DB, and here we have converted into an array here. Now we have to inject this service class inside the app.module.ts file here so that we can make use of this department service inside other component classes. Now open this employee component.typescript file here. In order to use this array here, we have to create an object of this service, department service, inside the component TypeScript file here. So I will add the import statement for department here, and we have to create a property of the type here. Department service, it's of the type department service class. Now open the component HTML here. Currently we are using this static array here. Instead of that, we have the array from the service class department service dot array, and we have to change this value department dot $key, which is the primary key for the item, and for the option value I will concat the code and the name of department. So let me copy this and pasting here, and I will separate the code and name with a hyphen. Now let me save all of these modifications here. Before that, let me remove the previous static array from here. Save all of these changes. Back to the application here. So here we have created a dynamic dropdown in Angular material from this Firebase collection departments. Finally, I want to show a notification message after a successful submission of the form. That means we will learn how to create toast message in Angular material. For that, we will be using snack bar component from Angular material. So first of all, let's have a look in our official documentation, Angular material. Go to components. Then under pop-ups and models, you can see snack bar component. So here we have a basic demo of the application. It shows this pop-up notification here. In order to work with this component, we have to import this module here, mat snack bar module. So we can import that inside our extra module material here, mat snack bar module. We have to import the same here also. For working with pop-up notification in Angular material, I'm going to create a separate service class inside this shared folder here. In order to create the service class, I will use the previous Angular CLI command. Just hit up arrow and we can make the modification here. We want to create notification service class, so I will just type notification here. Hit enter. Newly created TypeScript file can be seen here. I will delete this test file with extension spec.ts. In order to work with the component, we have to import these two classes from the Angular material, mat snack bar and mat snack bar config. So here we have the basic class, and this config class is used for the customization of the component based on our requirement, like positioning, addition of extra CSS class, delay of component, etc. Now I will create a property of this class mat snack bar inside this constructor here. In order to show a success notification, I will define this function here with a single parameter msg, which is message, which is to be shown inside the notification. In order to show the snack bar component, we can do this. We will call the open function from the object snack bar. Inside that, we can pass this message, and as a second parameter we can pass the action. In this case, we will set the action as empty. Here inside this documentation, you can see that this part is the action. We don't need the action, so I will set it as empty string here. Now let's call this success function inside the form submit event. After that, we can customize the snack bar component. So here we have the import statement for the notification service. Now inside this submit event here, we can do this. We will call the success function from the notification service class. Inside the function, we have passed the message submitted successfully. Now let me save all of these modifications here. Back to the application. In order to see that notification, we have to first fill this form, then we have to click this submit button. So it will take some work. I am too lazy, so I will move that into this button, click event clear. So let me cut this and paste inside this on clear function. Once we customize this notification as per our requirement, I will move that back to this on submit function. Let me save this, then back to the form here, click on clear. So here we have the basic toast message. We have to customize this as per our need. So back to the notification service class here. In order to customize the notification, we have to create an object of this class snack bar config. So here it is, config. It's of the type mat snack bar config. It is a normal object. Inside that, we can configure or define the properties of the notification or toast message. So all of the properties for this class is defined inside the documentation here. Inside the API tab, you can see here a lot of them. But for this application, we will use some of them. So first of all, we have the duration. I will set it as 3 seconds. Here we have to specify in millisecond. Then we have the horizontal position. I will set it as right. Then we have the vertical position. I will set it as top. Now let's pass this config as a third parameter inside this open function here. This dot config. Let me save this, back to the application, click on clear. So here we have the notification. Now in order to change the appearance of this notification, we have to have a privilege to add some extra classes. So let's look how we can do that. For that, we can use the panel class property from the config object. Since we have more than one class, we have passed an array containing notification and success class. Now we have to define CSS rules for these two classes inside the styles.css here. Now let me save all of these modifications. Back to the application here. Click on clear. Boom. Here we have a nice pop-up notification. Now let's move that notification into the submit event. Let me cut this and paste inside this onSubmit function here. Okay. You can download this project source code from the GitHub link given below in video description. Finally, for those who are able to support the channel, I have given a PayPal donation link in video description. In the next video, we will list all of these inserted employees in Angular material table with sorting, paging and filtering. If you found this video helpful, please thumbs up this video, and for more awesome videos like this, please be subscribed to this channel CodAffection. Please like and share this video with your friends and colleagues so that they can benefit from this. Have a nice day. Bye.